Hi there, Gabriel Cleveland with CavanKerry Press here to talk about why reading is important to me and also to the press in general. I believe that reading is an opportunity for whoever is holding that book to enter another world, whether it's the world of the author, if the author is writing from their personal experiences, or if it's a fabricated, fantastical world from someone's imagination. No matter what, you get to explore a different interpretation of existence, of being alive, of being a human, being someone who processes thought and all of that. And through the experience of reading, you get to discover something not only about the world and the characters within the book, but you discover something about yourself. And in the best books, when you're done and you close the book, your own world expands in some meaningful way. You get to see the world in a brighter light, in a better sense. You get to have more compassion, more care, more understanding. And that's why reading matters to me.
All right. I agree. Thank you.
Okay, peace and poetry, everyone, and welcome to another installment of our CavanKerry Press reading series. I am your host and marketing communications director at CavanKerry Press, Dimitri Reyes, and I am so excited for this evening because we are bringing to you live or post-live, if you're looking at this on YouTube or Facebook, two brilliant authors, and Dipika Mukherjee and Dianne Silvestri. Today, we will be celebrating the release of Dialect of Distant Harbors, which I'm actually going to screen share my partner in crime, Gabriel Cleveland, just so you can see these beautiful books in the back. Point at them, please, Gabe Cleveland. All right, Dialect of Distant Harbors by Dipika Mukherjee is now available from CavanKerry Press. We are sure to get you those books as soon as you place those orders, so think about that. And then if Gabe, you could point at that beautiful blue book, But I Still Have My Fingerprints by Dianne Silvestri. That book is currently on pre-order for the month of October. You can save big by pre-ordering it now, and you could get it before other people have it. Just to let you know, we're going to have a great Q&A this evening, as well as readings from both of these authors. But before that, I am going to kick it over to one of our other staff members, Dana Harris-Trovato, which is going to talk to us about our land acknowledgement.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Dana Harris-Trovato, and I'm the Director of Development for CavanKerry Press. And I'm so glad you all could make it. We're in for a wonderful evening. But before the reading begins, we wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that the land that we occupy in Bergen County, New Jersey, belongs to the Lenape people. We honor their history. We cannot function in our work as arts activists, nor offer a safe space for all writers without understanding the struggle for Indigenous rights. So thank you for that. And I will now hand it back to our fearless Dimitri Reyes to introduce our readers tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dana, for that. Okay, so let's get the show on the road. The tale of tape. This evening, we are going to start with our pre-order celebration with Dianne Silvestri. Dianne Silvestri, MD, is a graduate of Butler University and Indiana University School of Medicine. She was associate professor of dermatology at UMass Chan Medical School until leukemia forced her retirement. Her poems have appeared in Journal of American Medical Association, Barrow Street, The Main Street Rag, and Naugatuck River Review, among others. She is a past Pushcart Prize nominee and co-founder and leader of the Morse Poetry Group in Massachusetts. The mother of 4 and grandmother of 7, she enjoys gardening and great ballroom dancing with her husband, and you can find out more about Dianne Silvestri at diannesilvestri.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Dianne Silvestri.
Thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you to all of you who are here this evening, who have chosen to listen to us. So my poems in this book, my new book, have come out of the period of time when I was derailed from being a physician practicing and teaching. I went to the doctor one day after my last clinic, and my doctor called me that night and said I had no white blood cells. So we're off here to the races. As expected, with my diagnosis of acute myeloid leukemia, I had to have chemotherapy. This poem is entitled Chemotherapy and is a bit of a picture of how surreal the experience was. Here on the far side of the moon, it's all dead reckoning. The end of night blown from sight. Shifting infinitude scours away my barefoot prints. I must be transfiguring into heavy ashes for a maroon velvet bag My only need, a gold-braided drawstring. The floor is too cold, too hard to kneel. But hear me, God. Hold me.
Thank you so much for that. What a gift it was to finally hear you in quasi person, read for us. And thank you for being just so vulnerable and so open with this story. Okay, so now, ladies and gents, thank you so much for being here thus far. If you like what you're hearing so far with Dianne Silvestri's book, you can pre-order, but I still have my fingerprints at the link that we're going to leave in the chat or in the description box if you're watching this later on YouTube. So speaking of beautiful books, we are now transitioning to Dialect of Distant Harbors by Dipika Mukherjee, and we're celebrating this evening. Yay! Put your celebrations and emojis in the chat because this book is released. Dipika, the book is here, and we are so excited and we are so in love with everything that we put out. Just to read you a bit about what this book is about, if you haven't heard of it, a greatest vastness to this world, writes Dipika, beyond human experience. With wonder and empathy and even rage, Dialect of Distant Harbors summons a shared humanity to examine issues of illness and family in the home, as well as redefine belonging and migration in the misogynistic and racist world we all live in. As the world recovers from a global pandemic and the failure of modern government, these meditations are incantations to our connections to the human family, whether in Asia or Europe or the United States, and focus on what is most resilient in ourselves and our communities. Mukherjee is the author of 2 novels. She has published 2 books of poetry. She teaches at the Graham School at the University of Chicago, as well as Story Studio Chicago, and holds a doctorate in sociolinguistics. And you can find out more at dipikamukherjee.com. And everyone, I am proud, so honored to throw up Dipika Mukherjee.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dimitri, for that lovely introduction. Dianne is indeed a hard act to follow. You read so beautifully, and you didn't even cry at any of those poems. I find it so hard to read my own emotional poems without kind of, being a blubbery, sort of tearful, a horrible thing to watch. So I'm not going to read anything emotional today. I'm just, telling everyone in advance. I hope that this poem which is a poem about writing novels, will take you somewhere else too. And it's titled Damp Red Earth and Pouring Rain. Writing a novel is a lot like cooking a good biryani. First, the manic frying, the heat of cardamom, cinnamon, cloves, bay leaves, star anise, peppercorns. Then set aside. Revise. Onions reborn, caramelized, pungent with ginger garlic, a fragrant, even browning, then the meat thrown into an osmotic simmer. The basmati rice must be just half cooked, mingling warm milk infused with saffron and the essence of pandan, sprinkled rosewater, then a final rearrangement. Gently stir this meat rice, layered yet touching. Out with the spices, hard, embittered, harsh on the tongue. Seal to steam slowly in its own broth, then taste for imperfections. It is merely meat and rice, yes, but what you now hold in your hands will transport you to open fields of saffron blowing in the wind, of damp red earth and pouring rain. Thank you so much. I always like to read this poem because it just, transports me also into food.
Oh my gosh, Dipika, thank you so much for that reading. I
think I will finish with the last poem in the book, which is for Susie's grandfather. It's called Where You Are. Because I breathe, I can tell the backyard and grandmother's garden, the back tooth of Nina's yawning, the stones and Lily's gallbladder rolling the flesh juice into rivers, like mother's, like yours. But grandfather, tell me the stars, tell me the nowhere, because I'm still in the universe. I breathe in this good earth and call it my own. Thank you all for being here.
Oh my goodness, Darius, so many people in the chat said that they could just hear you read this for the rest of the night.
Thank you all. I'm just so lucky to be part of CavanKerry's family through Susie, with Susie. It's really been a beautiful experience. So thank you.
I actually wanted to start with a question from Gabriel Cleveland, our publisher, who also spent a lot of time with this work and gushes about it all the time to us. He says this question is for everyone, but especially Darius and Allison. You touched on this as well. Tonight, we've had the pleasure of celebrating your mother, Susie, and in doing so, allowing her words to ring out across the veil. I wonder if you could give the audience some insight about how important it is on both a personal level and for the literary world as a whole for presses to remember, honor, and publish the work of writers that were lost too soon. So maybe Darius, we could talk about you first, and then Allison, if you want to jump in, we could talk about that as well.
I think one of the hard things that presents is kind of, I think I got some responses, even just from getting this kind of like sort of teasing out there, like, would you be interested in this book or something, that were along the lines of, we're really hesitant to publish a book by an author who's not around to promote it, which I understand from a business standpoint, but I also think it's really too bad. And I wonder, like, I think something that I love seeing in contemporary poetry is this like reverence for ancestors, for including work within the original work that speaks back and speaks to. And I also love, like in Poetry Magazine, they're doing these portfolios of poets who were never published in poetry during their lifetime. And I think that's a really lovely tribute, sort of recalling brilliance and remembrance of these poets who didn't have that opportunity. But I also think, I think it's so important. I don't know how else to answer, but like with gratitude to CavanKerry for giving it a shot, and for also, gratitude for allowing me to be in conversation and in communion with Susie in a way that I would never dreamed of being possible. I think like that's one of the things about posthumous collections, is that you're allowing a poet or a translator to have this closeness and intimacy with someone who might be distanced from them otherwise.
Thank you so much, Darius.
My name is Joan Cusack Handler, and I'm the founder of CavanKerry Press, the largest nonprofit publisher of books of poetry in New Jersey. More importantly, we are a literary press committed to art and community. And as such, we're proud to be a sponsor of New Jersey Poetry Out Loud, gifting free books of poetry to all participating high school libraries and to individual winners in each New Jersey district, as well as the finals. While we tend to think of poetry as a written art, it is at its core a spoken art, an ancient aspect of the art only recently revived by the spoken word movement, and now by the National Poetry Out Loud recitation competition, which invites the whole community of high school students across the United States to speak it, to select a favorite poem and recreate the poet's literary voice as he or she recites the poem in front of a large audience, I might add. To be part of that major literary event is both inspiring and humbling. The depths of understanding and emotion by these students delivers to us, the audience, the gift of the poem. At CavanKerry, we talk a lot about the gift of poetry, how it can transform and heal those who are able to embrace it. Irrespective of race, religion, ethnicity, or sexual orientation, is a concept we must all work toward if we hope to heal our wounded nation. Poetry can help us do that. Poetry can spring to life in the minds and imaginations of readers, opening doors to experiences and lives lived by people from wholly different backgrounds and time periods. We need that. But of course, spoken poetry needs worthy messengers to illuminate emotion, to captivate and guide its audience and welcome them into its world. It is a privilege to witness the gift of poetry brought to life through powerful recitations by such talented students as each of the finalists before you today. Congratulations to every finalist, and thank you for your wonderful performances.